So with the halftime show being one of the biggest live performances in the world, I just wanted to go ahead and give some of my thoughts and ideas for next year's halftime show. And while I think that we have gotten just such a great variety of performers and different genres over the full evolution of the halftime performance, I do think it would be neat to kind of blend this into one. If we're talking about next year, for example, I think it would be neat to have a few different artists from different music backgrounds in terms of the genre, for example. And while you have gotten this in the past, such as with featured guests or just having a few different performers be the co-leads for the halftime show, I think it would be neat if maybe you had one big artist from every major category of music. If we're talking about pop, hip hop, and country, I think maybe doing one of those big three could be something that would be really neat to mix up the dynamic of the Super Bowl. And I think that this would also provide a better variety for the audience that the Super Bowl has. And while you do get a more natural variety in terms of different genres, in terms of who they select for each year's performance, I think just doing that all in one could be something that's really neat, and I definitely think you have enough time to allow for this in terms of maybe the 15 to 20 minute halftime that you have already. Maybe if you did a little bit less in terms of one specific person, but maybe each person from each genre got a few different songs and then they each had their time. I think that could be something that would be neat. Or I think maybe you could develop more of a system in terms of the variety of music genres for each year. Maybe some of this happens naturally, but maybe if you did a 3 or 4 year split in terms of one year being country, one being pop, one being hip hop, and another being R&B, for example, and then every year you had to choose an artist from that genre. I think that could be something too that really solidifies an equal balance in terms of the rotation of music genres that we're getting. But I do like the idea of having all of them each year, since it's just offering a little bit more in every performance. I do think you are having, in terms of talking about the different music genres, I do think you are getting some of that already, in addition to having a variety of performers chosen every year. If we're looking at this past year, you maybe got this between Kendrick and SZA blending a few different music genres, and I would say even for specific artists, you already have maybe someone like Rihanna blending a few different music genres in terms of just their personal style. But I think on top of this, you could maybe talk to the variety of music that's present just in the Super Bowl in general, not just the halftime show when we saw Lauren Daigle with America the Beautiful and we saw Jon Batiste singing the national anthem. So I think while that offers a good variety right there, I think on top of this, since both Lauren Daigle and Jon Batiste were already present for the Super Bowl and already performed to begin with, I think in terms of talking about that more rotation idea, I think maybe in terms of the halftime show, you could have had both Lauren Daigle and Jon Batiste perform, and then along with Kendrick and SZA, that would provide a bigger variety of music genres. And I think also in addition to different music genres, you could even have artists from different eras. If we're looking at maybe someone like Seal, who already had a commercial in the Super Bowl where he was singing already, so having him perform could be great in terms of offering a variety, not just in music genres, but in terms of different eras as well. So I think that could be something that's taken into consideration there. If you're doing something like that, you could even get a little bit more input from the public. Maybe if you had some sort of a voting system like American Idol. If we're also doing different genres, you could maybe have voting for the artists for that genre for a given year. I think that could be an interesting dynamic as well. But even if we aren't getting a mixture and whatnot, I still think it would be interesting thinking about next year just in terms of one lead performer. I think you haven't gotten as much of pop recently, and you also haven't gotten recently or at all in terms of the Super Bowl a country performer. So whether that would be mixed in or just all exclusive for next year, I think that could be neat there as well. But feel free to let me know your thoughts on this or the halftime show in general going forward, and I'll see you later.